Okay, and we're right back with you. We're going to continue. Alrighty then, here we are, my people. It says here 6 letters equals 6. With the numbers of the letters added together equals 66, giving us the mark of the beast, 666 when combined. C equals 3, O equals 15, R equals 18, O equals 15. Listen to this. N equals 14, A equals 1, and 666. What's that spell, y'all? Corona. Corona. That's what it spells. Corona. See, you have to be spiritually sharp. I told you this before. These people are planning 50, 100 years ahead while you're sleeping, while you're having fun, while you're preparing the next event. I'm not saying you should live your life dull and not have fun and do all that, but not at your own detriment. And I'm not saying you should live on guard, that you walk around being scared. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being spiritually ready, being spiritually sound. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, to shut yourself away and be a hermit. I'm not talking about that, because you can enjoy your life and still be aware, still be the watcher of your own soul, of your own ascension, as we often talk about, and not being, brain dead, and allowing people, this beast, to trick us. I don't know how many times I have to say it. The mark of the beast is not just the nano and pico technology that is injected into your interstitial fluids, but the mark is also revealed on all products. Listen, it's revealed on all products being bought and sold with the barcode 666, or the mark of the beast. A modified synthetic RNA graphene containing bioweapon. Ain't that something? 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. And that's how the carbon atom is manipulated, because it has all those elements. It has to have those particular elements. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons equals what? 666. And there's nothing evil about that in its formulation in regards to the 6 protons and all that. It's just how people can manipulate it for something evil. The mark of the beast contains mRNA, graphene, ferroxide distributed via the interstitial fluids to your forehead, the brain, and your extremities, the hand. Once inoculated with the COVID-19 so-called vaccine, which is nothing less than a bioweapon, you have now been marked by the beast for destruction. That's what this is saying. Okay, y'all. And I'm telling you, man, it says, if it was possible, they will fool the very elect. And so this is why I don't say this to alarm you, but to wake you up. If you've taken the jab, and you've taken it more than one time, You need to go to the Creator. You need to be praying, and you need to be asking him to forgive you. You need to be asking him to I don't know, you know what I'm saying? To to cleanse you, you need to go on a fast. You need to cleanse your spirit. I mean, because if you did this, and I was telling people, man, you need to check before you do that. You need to check before you do that. Here it is. I'm giving to you. I didn't say this. I'm doing the research. It says your extremities, the hand, once inoculated with the COVID-19 so-called, which is nothing less than a bio weapon, you have now been marked by the beast for destruction. I've had people say, these people are clever, wickedly. See, what you have to understand and understand is that they are planning while you are planning for something that really don't matter. Now I'm not saying your family don't matter, because if you're planning for your children for school or this or that, that of course that matters. But you know what I'm talking about. When you begin to put more emphasis on trivial stuff, and you're not guarding your spirit, you're not guarding your soul, this is what happens. We as a people have more identifiers and indications of what has been done to our people over time, that there is no good in these people when it comes to us. We have been more examples than more times than I can count, that our best interest is not left in the hands of those who have murdered, killed, plundered, injected with syphilis, heinous stuff that has been done to us, and that continues to be done under the guise of programming, predictive programming, and so forth. But yet we still stand in line like sheep to the slaughter. And so go ahead and do me. And so who do you have to blame? Who do you have to blame? Because they instill fear in you. They instill fear in you and tell you, if you don't get this, listen. And when this thing first came out, your antennas should have went up when they started telling you. See, because a lot of you, the unfortunate thing, a lot of you really don't trust the Creator. You go to church and you say you trust Jesus. A lot of you don't. A lot of y'all, you have your trust in this world. You don't really trust a higher source for your safety and for your sustenance in terms of how you're going to live. You don't really, no. You trust this world. You trust this world. That's why you stood in line and got the jab, because you trust this world. And that's why when your scriptures tell you, be not of this world, okay, be transformed by the renewing of your minds. A lot of you don't have a renewed mind. You don't. I'm sorry to say it. You don't have a renewed mind, and it's unfortunate, because you trust this government, you trust this world more than. So why are you? What are you doing? Why do you go? And I'm not trying to beat up on you. I'm just trying to give you facts. I'm trying to give you proof. You trust more in this world, and so that's why you do what you do. Okay, and it's unfortunate, and you will put yourself in harm's way trusting this world and your children and your family, because you trust more in this world than you do in the one you say you trust in. And the bad part about that is that you don't even trust your higher self. And that's the critical, because that's who you really should be trusting. You really shouldn't be, and I said this before, you shouldn't be trusting something outside of you as opposed to what should be in you. Your higher ether self, your higher goddess, your higher God man self. And sometimes, a lot of us, we have to find out the hard way. My mother used to say, a hard head make a soft ass. You know, you don't trust you. I mean, it's terrible. You know, and you only have yourself to blame. So again, when this thing first came out, the first thing you should have done, say, okay, they say if I don't get the jab, I can't go to work. That should have told you, oh, this don't sound right. This sounds like some mark of the beast stuff. Some people, oh man, it ain't no mark of the beast. It ain't no hard-headed ass people who don't listen, who don't have no clue as to what's going on. They don't have a clue as to what time they're living in. Let me throw this on you too, as a nugget. Do you know that in Ethiopia right now, the year is 2015? Did you know that? And we're in 2023, but in Ethiopia it's 2015. What's that tell you? Didn't your scriptures tell you that man would devise the time and change laws and change this and change that? So why are we in 2023 here, but in Ethiopia is 2015? Somebody answer that question for me if you could. Hello? Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that it's 2015 in Ethiopia? I think it's August 2015 in Ethiopia, if I'm not mistaken. So if we are following the Gregorian calendar, and our calendar is all for is or are the Ethiopians following the Gregorian calendar? Because I would beg to differ that the Ethiopians, they're on the right timing. They're in the right space of the way the universe is vibrating. It's us, because man has manipulated the time. So you'll answer that for me. Why are we in 2023 and in Ethiopia is 2015? I'll let that marinate. Dr. Robert O. Young, COVID-19 Magellan, nanobacteria in your immune system. And this is what he had to say. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Very happy to be here today. Dr. Young, it's lovely to have you back on the show. We've done several interviews now, and we're kind of pretty far along with this story. And I know that you have been investigating Morgellons as well, and some link ups between that and COVID and everything's going on. I sent you a publication from supposedly coming out of Russia, talking about bacteria being the real cause, and so on. So if you want, you could give yourself a short introduction, and then if you could launch into these topics that we're interested in covering today.
Okay, well, first off, I'd like to thank Carrie for having me on her show again, and I'm so grateful that we have this association, and that our purposes are one voice, and that we're trying to educate, not vaccinate, educate, not medicate, knowledge and truth that can help people with their overall well-being, with their overall fitness and health, and to protect and provide safety. And I think that has to be knowledge that is given, that when you have knowledge, you have power, and through that knowledge, you can protect yourself. So I'm grateful for this format to be able to share my work and research of the last 4 decades. I've been working on, since the 80s, what I call the corona effect, and I haven't deviated one bit as it relates to my understanding as it pertains to viruses, vaccines, HIV, Ebola, or even this novel coronavirus and what it actually is. I'll stand on this premise, and that the germs do not cause disease. The germs are nothing more than biological transformation that are endogenously created based upon a polluted environment, either through chemical pollution or radiation pollution. And of course, there are many contributing factors that give rise, Carrie, to what you see behind me, which are spike proteins. They're called vesicles. They're also by cell name. Hematologists would call these schistocytes. And this is the deterioration or degeneration of the cell membrane due to its environment, which can then lead to cellular transformation and even genetic mutation. So as far as identifying the contributing factors, germs would be a symptom of that. Any spike protein would be a symptom of the environment. And so this is a conversation that maybe you have not been part of before, but I would like to quote the words of Claude Bernard, where he said, the germ is nothing, the terrain is everything. And on Pasteurian deathbed, which we have from from his niece, where he actually, her granddaughter, I should say, was the result of many other statements, but where Louis Pasteur said Antoine Béchamp was correct. And what was the philosophy, or what was the foundational theory of Antoine Béchamp? Was based upon the terrain theory, and that environments and cells are only as healthy as the fluids or the environment in which they are bathed in. And so we have to look at the contributing factors. And there's many. There's not just one contributing factor that gives rise to spike proteins. There's not one factor that gives rise to bacteria. There's not one factor that gives rise to pathological blood coagulation. And so that's what my work has been about. This is what I published on it. I published 2 peer-reviewed.
Okay, we're going to stop there for him, and we're going to continue. But you heard him say that there is multiple reasons for, this transmission of this COVID, right? And he talked about, you heard him mention, as far as germs, how germs are manipulated and how it comes through the atmosphere and how it comes through frequencies in terms of electromagnetic frequencies, as we talked about several times. Now, and we'll get back to that some other time, because that's kind of like a long clip, and I don't want to spend the whole, segment doing that, but we'll come back to that. But I want to continue with this, and it talks about the association of transfusion with risk or dementia or Alzheimer's disease population based on cohort studies. Abstract. Okay, so again, one of the other things we have to understand, and overstand, like I always say, is that how these people are like mad scientists. We've seen those movies with mad scientists, how they're in labs cooking up stuff, and then they create monsters, and and this is what's happening. The association between neurodegenerative diseases and blood transfusions remain to be investigated. Okay. The study population comprised 63,813 patients who underwent a blood transfusion, and 63,000, all of them, okay. The propensity score matched controls between 2000 and 2010. Data were obtained from the Taiwan National Health Insurance Research Database, which is maintained by the National Health Research Institute. So it makes you wonder when they say that this COVID came from Wuhan, China, wherever it was, whether or not they're all in it together, it's just amazing. So it begs to see who's the culprit, who's behind it. But we do know, as it was just read. Now it talks about the mark of the beast and the COVID, and how this is going to unfold. And I tell you guys, I tell you time and time again, I don't know if you're listening, if you're hearing. I really don't, because I just often wonder why you do what you do. The mark of the beast calls all sickness and disease. The mark of the beast leads to pathological blood coagulation. And death by suffocation, or they say asphyxia, or whatever that is. Yeah, asphyxia, yeah. And you know what coagulation is, right? That's when something congeals and becomes real solid, and I don't want to be like I said, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I really don't. But what I am saying to you guys is that you have to know what time we're in. I mean, the space that we're in now. If you're not aware of that now, when will you be? And I was looking at this movie. Let me say this, because we're going to be finishing up in a bit. I was looking at this movie. And you can actually go right on YouTube and watch it. I think it's called The End of Time, or The Seven Seals, or something like that. This movie was, man, I was like, wow. And I'm not one who see, because even with that, you really have to know how things are being used, to manipulate and to control, but the funny thing about this movie, and when I say funny, I do mean that. I mean funny. And I'm not talking about the actual content of the movie was not funny. And this is why I said to you, when you watch a movie, You always watch a movie to glean information and to follow, to decipher, and to get a story and to get understanding of what it's actually saying. Now, in this movie, and it showed, how the Creator spoke to John, the prophet, and he was revealing all the stuff in Revelations to him. And everybody in this movie, the prophets were Caucasian. Obviously, yeah, prophets were Caucasian. And they went through all this. They went through all the seals and all this. That's supposed to come on the earth and all this, and all the stuff that was happening in this movie that talked about 144,000. They were all Caucasian people. There was not one black person. I didn't see one indigenous person in this movie, other than the representation that they used. If you guys seen the movie, what was that movie? I think it was I think it was the Spartans or something like that. And the tall gentleman that played the role of the king of Persia, yeah, the Persian king, and how when the Spartans went up against him, you remember he had all the chains on and through his nose and through his eyebrows and all this. They used him in this movie. They used him as the devil. He was the devil. But like I said, all the prophets, all the 144,000 Caucasian people, when they got to the throne of heaven, all the people that suffered for the name of Christ were Caucasian people, were all white people. Didn't see one black person, and of course, Jesus was white too. You know this. So when you see stuff like this is total outright blasphemy, and it's manipulation. So you have to ask yourself. You really do. You have to ask yourself, what would be the effects of a movie like this for little black children watching? And even little white children. Because even little white children would probably be thinking to themselves, Mommy, Daddy, there's no black people in heaven? So you get what I'm saying? So how damaging is this? How damaging is this? Now, here it is. This is why I tell y'all about y'all's religion. Religion, you can say whatever you want. Religion never came to unite people. I'm telling you that. If you go back in history and you see how religion was established, how religion came into play. Now, when Jesus did what he did, Yeshua, because that's the proper derivative. It ain't Jesus. You call him Jesus, but Jesus is just Jesus. Jesus is a Greek word. Okay, you don't find no J's in the Hebrew alphabet. And I know a lot of you would argue that with me. And then a lot of y'all say, yeah, there's power in that name, and there's this, and there's that. Okay. And we don't want to get into that, because I can start saying, why aren't our communities changed, or why this or why that? Okay. And why are preachers doing what they do? Why is he the only special one in the building? Okay, so anyways, the detriment of this is to divide, to conquer, and to control. So you're asking yourself, how is this supposed to unite people? And then again, you're saying to yourself, where is the love in this? Where's the genuine love in creating this kind of, that is evil and the devil within itself, where you create you create a heaven where there's only Caucasian people. You create these scenarios where you there's only and remember, we're always listening to uncopyrighted music here on Anchor by Spotify. We're listening to The Ascension now by Scott Buckley. Okay, so here we are. This is creating a narrative that's been created long ago, that black people are worthless. We're nothing, and when you look at all this stuff, and you don't have to wonder why they don't want to teach CRT in the schools. Okay, critical race theory. Okay, because it would unravel the comfortability that a lot of these people have sat in over centuries of the brute, inhumane treatment of people around the planet. And it would decimate, the whole curriculum, and they know this, it would have to, with this being taught, the books would have to be rewritten. When you start talking about the contributions that African people have made to the world, we're not talking about the country, we're talking about the world. We've given everything to the world, and this is why these demons, for those who are, and they have a small group of these people who are okay, who want to be civilized, who want to act like they have some sense. The majority of them don't. You can't keep a system in place with people being nice. You can't keep a system of pejorative subjugation in place with people being fair. So I think that people really realize, and they have some of a clue. The handwriting is on the wall that the time is up, and we're seeing it around the world now. We're seeing it exponentially in what's happening, and I think that's why it's revving up with the demise of many people who look like us. They want to get rid of us. They do. We're the most concentrated people in the world because they're still trying to find out how we how we were able to be who we are, that divine element, that Ether 9 series being. And it's really disturbing. It's disturbing to most people that we've been the chosen people of this planet. It's just a fact. And there is consternation against the Creator because of that. There is like they really hate God. They really hate the Creator. They do. They hate the Creator because how could you love the Creator but you hate people that you see that don't look like you? There's no love of God in you. That is the spirit of Antichrist. Understand that. You have to understand that. That is the spirit of Antichrist. You can't love the Creator when you're looking at the image of Him every day and then hate the image of the Creator. Hello, somebody. And so, This is why you're hated. This is why I'm hated. This is why people would go even as far as to not allow stuff like this to have a wide audience, because you're talking about stuff that matters, that gets to the hearts of people. Because people, they say people are genuinely good people. Well, again, that could be debated, that could be argued. Until you step on someone's toes, because the only way to know that is when you start telling people the truth. People don't often like the truth. They want you to make them feel comfortable. They don't want the truth. Just look over my wickedness and we'll be fine. But if you tell me who I am, I'm not going to like you. In fact, I'm going to hate you. I might even go as far as to try to do something to you. That's what's being done now, y'all. Because you have more people now who are aware, and they know exactly what is going on. You have a lot of folks who are not in the dark. They're not in the dark as some would suppose. So, so what I would say is to be vigilant, keep your frequency high, be the watcher of your thoughts. And for all, be in the all. And so we're going to leave you with that. Again, this is Seth Moore coming to you again here on Anchor by Spotify. Remember to visit us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Buzzsprout, Podbean, and many, many more host sites as we continue to bring you world news, content that is relevant for everyday living. So until the next time, you guys stay safe and be your higher self. Have a great night.